The first step is admitting you have a problem. And the United States has not just a $39 trillion US debt problem, it is set to grow by 25 trillion over the next decade. This is the Congressional Budget Office with calculations taking this debt out to 60 plus trillion dollars in the next decade. On top of that, we have Federal Reserve meeting minutes revealed from their January FOMC meeting. And yeah, they were actually considering raising rates on the US economy that's already struggling. On top of this, we have potential Iran strikes. We're going to break all of this down, tie it back into the markets, and how we can position ourselves with clarity during a time of extreme fear in the markets, not over here in our camp. We have extreme certainty, extreme clarity, because the fundamentals are so strong and they improve on a daily basis with, guess what? Another bank that is partnering up with Ripple and choosing the XRP ledger. So let's get right on into the update. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. Here's our first problem we're going to address, which is $64 trillion of US debt in the next 10 years. According to the Congressional Budget Office, US national debt is expected to rise from $39 trillion in 2026 to $64 trillion by 2036, a $25 trillion increase. This is adding 2.4 to 2.5 trillion of new debt every single year, even if we have no recession, no war, and no emergency spending. And by the way, we got another Federal Reserve lie that we're going to talk about here in 1 minute. They don't want to call it QE, but the numbers don't lie. We'll get into that. Now, the first problem is that annual deficits keep widening. We got a spending problem. Second, interest rates. The cost of our interest on our debt is becoming one of the biggest threats, and it's now larger than our defense budget. Can you believe it? How can you expand? How can you be the world's military police? Which that might be a benefit to us if we stop. We can't. And we've been saying this. I said, I don't care what program you want to do, what program you want to spend money on. We are broke. Doesn't matter who you want to give a handout to. Doesn't matter what war you want to fight. By the way, when is Congress going to declare war in this ongoing situation that we have? I'm still waiting for the congressional approval, the constitutional authority to go into war. It's been decades since we've done it. In fact, you have to go all the way back to World War II to the last time our Congress officially declared war. So I guess I shouldn't be holding my breath on that. But where's the money going to come from? We're going to have to fire up those money printers and make it go burr and hope that people still accept it if we want to continue this spending. Third problem is that most federal spending is automatic and runs on preset programs, not yearly decisions. We're talking about Social Security, Medicare, and healthcare costs, and these are all rising. Okay, the unfunded liabilities. And actually, the unfunded liabilities, this is what takes our total issue here, our total problem, not the 39 trillion number, but it's actually over 160 trillion by some estimates. And if you look at where that'll go over the next decade, I mean, we're talking about hundreds of trillions of dollars of liabilities that we got to address here in the United States. Debt versus GDP is breaking records. It's terrible. It's terrible. So we move on over here to the Fed minutes to make matters worse, and they reveal that there was actually a discussion of a possible rate hike if inflation doesn't cool. That's right, folks. Can you believe it? As if we're not struggling enough. As if the fastest rate increase in the history of the Fed wasn't worse, it wasn't bad enough. Minutes of the Federal Reserve's first meeting of the year showed that several officials wanted the central bank to tell the markets that there was a chance its next move might be to raise interest rates. Now, they wanted a two-sided statement reflecting the possibility that upward adjustments to the target range for the federal funds rate could be appropriate if inflation remains at above target levels. In the end, the Fed's final statement was one-sided, discussing only whether there would be more rate cuts. So they actually wanted Jerome Powell to come out at the end of the month there in January and say, hey, if inflation doesn't cool, we might be raising rates on you guys. And like I said, they did the fastest rate increase in the history of the Fed, going from basically 0% interest rates all the way up to 5% for the Fed funding rates. That was a rug pull of the U.S. economy. Yes, we were battling inflation. We did need to address it. But did we need to rug pull the US economy, which is so dependent on debt and had gotten used to cheap debt, you know? And so when you take away a patient from the medicine that's keeping them alive or keeping them running, maybe it's not medicine, maybe it's something else, right? Maybe they're addicted to something, right? They are going to have withdrawals. And that's why we've been in a silent recession ever since. It was the fastest rug pull in the history of interest rate hikes by the Fed. Very simple. And so the officials thought that the labor market looked better and that the risk of more persistent inflation remained. Now, there was a couple Fed officials that actually wanted to cut rates at the last meeting. They were, overridden by the other Fed officials that determined the best thing to do was to leave rates unchanged. But there was a couple that wanted to signal to the markets, hey, we might bring on some more pain. We might squeeze you out, the American middle class and poor. We might squeeze you out a little bit more. Be ready for that. Okay? And it all comes back to this great lie that the Federal Reserve is doing some sort of good job or service in controlling and being in charge of our monetary policy. And so another lie that they're getting caught up in right now is they said that they were only going to purchase 40 billion of T-bills in December 2025, followed by 20 to 25 billion per month after that. It was a big fat lie. Instead, the Federal Reserve purchased 40 billion in December and 70 billion in January of 2026. The liquidity crisis they created is getting worse by design. It's almost as if they want to collapse the system. It's almost as if they want to squeeze out and kill the American dream. Are they working on behalf of the American people or a private cabal of central bankers? I think you guys know the answer to that question. And none of our wars, none of our little trips overseas and policing of the world would be possible if it wasn't for this Federal Reserve. National security officials have informed U.S. President Donald Trump that the U.S. military could be ready to carry out strikes on Iran as soon as this coming weekend, possibly Saturday. And right now we're watching World Liberty Financial and the Trump sons are hosting a big conference at Mar-a-Lago. And I find it interesting, the timing of all this. And my opinion is that sometime between now and the beginning of March is when we are going to see these strikes take place. And it's when we're going to see that double bottom come in. I've already placed my orders, and I'm looking at other cryptos to place more orders because I'm going to be a buyer during this extreme fear. I'm going to be a buyer during Iran strikes. I'm going to be a buyer during alien invasion. I'm going to be a buyer no matter what the heck their story is, no matter what their reasoning is. I will be buying these fundamental positions that I've already acquired. We're just going to be adding to them with what money we have. Of course, we're not like the Fed where we can just print it endlessly to do whatever we want. Just like you guys, we're out here working every single day to make it happen. And we're trying to stack up as much of these assets as possible because we know what they're going to do. They're going to continue lying. They're going to continue printing. They're going to continue running up a deficit. And that national debt is going from 39 trillion to 60 plus trillion. To eventually 100 trillion if they can get away with it. They're going to push it as far as they want. And you have the Trump sons out here saying that Bitcoin's going to $1 million. I wonder what they know. What would it take? What kind of environment? What kind of reality would we be living in where Bitcoin goes to $1 million? Now, speaking of the Trump sons, World Liberty Financial going to be partnering up here with Securitize and DAR Global to tokenize the Trump International Hotel and resort in the Maldives. Watching the announcements coming out from this World Liberty Financial Conference, here is Coinbase Brian Armstrong and Senator Bernie Moreno update on the Clarity Act. Let's get it.
Well, look, I had concerns about the bill, still have some concerns about the bill. We weren't done. We got hung up on the issue of rewards on stablecoins, which is really, in my mind, really shouldn't be part of this equation.
Wait, can we just explain this? Like, why people should care about this? What the whole yields, rewards on stablecoins thing is about?
Well, unless you own a bank, you probably shouldn't care. Because if you're an American consumer, what it means is that the cash that you hold, you're going to have competition to pay you more interest. So you're going to be able to get more money for the money that you have in your wallet or the money that you have in some sort of account. So this is very, very good for working Americans. Because ultimately, this is about giving Americans more rewards for being able to have cash on reserve, being able to get paid quicker, being able to transact faster. democratize the financial systems. But we're going to get this bill across the finish line. But I would say,
When?
Hopefully by April. Hopefully by April.
So April is the timeline expectation from Senator Bernie Moreno there. And we need this done ASAP. And the banks don't want it to happen. Just like he said, the only people that are concerned about this are literally the banks. And they're resisting it because they've done such a great job. They have the ability to squeeze us out and give us terrible service. And there's no other option, right? If you want to use the banking system, you're using this antiquated system that literally is decades old in the making. And it's absolutely ridiculous. Every time you go, and just recently, I went to the bank today to move some money around. It's incredible. It's incredible. You move some money around and they want to, take a few days to settle up. They want to do this and that. They want to charge you fees. And it's incredible. It amazes me. And every time I just think, wow, this is why they're so scared of crypto and even stable coins, right? We're not even talking about XRP or Bitcoin. Even stable coins are such a threat to them because even with the stable coins, you can send that transaction. You can send $1 million right now, pay the ledger fee. That's it. No middlemen, nobody to stop you, nobody to tell you you can or can't. Oh, this is going to take a few days to settle up. Oh, we got to do a review. None of that. None of that. And then furthermore, if you can earn yield or rewards or interest on that stablecoin for holding it, well, then why are we using these banks at all? They're in big trouble. And their only option is to adopt this technology. And so we have another bank, Deutsche Bank, is opening a new chapter in the modernization of global finance by significantly increasing the integration of technologies from the Ripple ecosystem. The Frankfurt-based bank aims to fundamentally reform the structures of worldwide money transfers, which are often criticized as outdated. Absolutely. The focus is not only on cross-border payments, but also on the complex foreign exchange business, as well as the secure custody of digital assets. Absolutely massive. Another one right here, coming on board. And if they want to, speaking of FX, they can tap in their FX into the XRP Ledger DEX, decentralized exchange. VET says, pay attention, FX markets is happening on the XRP Ledger. We have seen the Euro ROUSD pairing is starting to use XRP as a bridge currency, and more stablecoins are launching. With permission DEX and tokenized currencies, Ripple payments will have a feast. The fun part is starting. And I did put out a tweet today. I said that the XRP Ledger just flipped the switch. And of course, the market's coming down as I put out that tweet. And so everybody cries. And, that's an IQ test. Okay. Sometimes, when we talk about flipping a switch, we're talking about a big upgrade to the XRP Ledger. Doesn't have to be associated with price, which is what everybody wants to associate the flip of the switch term with. And I get it. I understand that why that comment was triggering. And, maybe we wanted to get a little bit of a reaction out of you to wake folks up and to realize what the XRP Ledger is now going to be capable of. This is what it takes. I have to use the word flip of the switch to get attention, to get folks in so that they'll actually realize what's taking place. Why we're still adding to our positions here with strong conviction based off the fundamentals. We're not shaken at all during this moment of extreme fear because we understand what's happening. And I have to use silly terms like flip of the switch to get people to come listen. It's part of the game. And so we're going to play it. And we're going to educate. And we have more validators coming to the XRP Ledger. Squid was added to the XRP Ledger UNL today, nearly a year in the making. Our validator will vote on proposals to add features and adjust parameters of the XRP Ledger. They open it up for DM if you want to hear our takes on anything XRPL in the future roadmap of the chain. I love this. And the XRP Ledger Foundation getting to work quickly. Absolutely love to see it. So the XRP Ledger Foundation bringing in and updating the UNL, which is the list of validators that determine the future and transactions of the XRP Ledger. Adding Squid Router here is a great addition. And I love that they're being open to the community right from the get-go. Hey, DMs are open. You got a question, hit us up. We're here for the XRP community. We need more of this. So it's easy for me to invest in XRP because we're paying attention to this. Just like for many of you guys that watch our channel, we want to put this information out in front of you so that you can make a decision. But, if you can't tell by now, this is why it's so easy for me to be adding to my XRP long, to be adding to my XRP spot bags, to be looking at other assets with utility, and adding to those positions as well, because we know what comes next. Massive money printing, big catalyst will unfold that'll give them the excuse for that massive money printing. And you just have to ask the question, do I own enough hard assets and enough assets with utility that'll benefit off that QE? Into the quick update on the charts, XRP did pop up over the weekend to $1.67, and we warned about the potential for a quick run up, but we didn't expect it to have many legs. Really, we need to break above $1.70. $1.74 is where the CME gap sits at right now. But that was a quick fake out to liquidate some shorts, and of course now they rip it back down. That liquidates the people that went long. But what I'm concerned about here is that we did break below this to a new lower low. Right now on the 1 hour chart, we did go down to a $1.41 level today, but we've been warning of this pullback between now and March 3rd. I'm expecting the market to have a big catalyst, Iran strikes, Supreme Court ruling on Trump tariffs in the next couple days, more files being released and more ripple effects from that. This is the margin collateral death spiral that we're in the middle of right now completing. It's not all the way done. And so I've been warning about this downside. A lot of people want to say bottoms in, bull run activated. Not quite yet. I understand that we're flipping switches. XRP Ledger's getting great updates. More banks are joining us. But the market conditions, the macro market conditions, are what's bringing us back down. And we have to be prepared for that. It's just important to be listening to somebody who can provide analysis on when the market's going down as when we're in a bull run and it's pumping and everybody's having a party. You'll note that I continue to show up every single day, bringing you analysis no matter what the market's doing. And so if you appreciate that, please help us out by liking our content and sharing it out. It really does help us. Bitcoin did drop down here below 66,000, about 65,869 is what I'm reading here. And so Bitcoin did run up to about 71,000 over the weekend. That was the fake out. And then they brought us back down here and we're below 66,000 right now. I'm looking for Bitcoin to go back to 60K. I'm looking for XRP to go back to $1.20 to 90 cents. Quick update though, real quick. Canton, big momentum on this one. Strong fundamentals. We dropped the deep dive on it yesterday, but I did want to let everybody know that I got the update from my partners at iTrust Capital that Canton will be available tomorrow on iTrust Capital in the IRA accounts. So not in the premium cussy accounts yet, but to get started, if you got your IRA or you're thinking about rolling over your 401k to an IRA at iTrust Capital, Canton will be available tomorrow. If you want to get educated on Canton, go watch the deep dive that I dropped on it yesterday. But the link is down below. When you use my link for iTrust Capital, you will get a $100 funding bonus. And they have both the traditional Roth and SEP IRA, the premium cussy account, and now, oh, I see a new feature right here, new product, premium custody treasury for businesses, trusts, and nonprofits. We actually are going to get the CEO, Kevin Maloney, is going to be back on our show towards that's going to be next week. And so I'm excited to he had teased this last time we spoke with them, and it looks like they're live with that product now. So we'll be talking about that with Kevin when we get him on the show next week. But let me know if you guys have any questions for iTrust Capital, by the way. CEO's coming on the show next week. Drop your comments down below. But wanted to let you guys know the team did update me. Canton will be available tomorrow for your IRA product, okay? Linked up down below, $100 funding bonus. If you appreciate the updates, please help us out. You know what to do. ZachRector.com. God bless you all. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.